to, some fancy cafe or whatever you gotta gonna be doing. Amazing. We're live and kicking. Mic's on. Sensational. What episode is this? Number 90, Shane. Number 90. Beautiful. Welcome back to the Coaches to the Moon podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, the last one for the year, episode 90. Today, I'm very, very, very excited to be joined by my good friend, Mr. Shane Harper. He's a world traveler. He's the CEO of Limitless Coaching Institute and Limitless Growth Agency. He helps hundreds of coaches worldwide to not only build a business from scratch, but also to scale it to the point where they can create some real time freedom and create that life that most digital business owners dream of. So originally from Plymouth, chilly Plymouth in England, but now in sunny Bangkok, Thailand. Here he is, Shane Harper. Thanks for being here, brother.
Thank you very much for having me, mate. It's a very nice introduction.
Well, you're a very nice guy, and I didn't need to. Christian actually sent me some research on you, but I didn't need it because I know all about you. I've seen your journey over the last, year or so that we've known each other. It's been really, really exciting to see you move around the world, and I'm just gonna first compliment you on the fact that, like, out of all the coaches out there who preach this time freedom, digital nomad lifestyle, but they're often just kind of recycling holiday photos all the time. You're someone truly walking the talk and getting after it. I thought you're in Bali today. You're back in Thailand. Can you give us some context, a rundown of your past 12 months and compare it to what it would have looked like just 3 or 4 years ago?
Oh, yeah. So 3 or 4 years ago, I was working construction. So, construction, just running jobs down around Plymouth, getting to site at 7:30 in the morning, leaving at 5 p.m. Pretty much rinse and repeat for 5 days a week. There wasn't too much going on there, wasn't too much excitement. Okay, cool. So, I was in for Christmas last year. I was in two different parts. A day in Phuket on the beach, and then I ended the day in Koh Samui. And then 2 days after that, I went to Koh Phangan, and then I was back in Phuket, then to Bangkok, then to Chiang Mai, then to Dubai for a month. No, 6 weeks, sorry, to Dubai. Then back to Europe for 3 months. Then back to Thailand for 4 months. Lumpur, Bali for 2 months, back to Thailand.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it all happen. With the time zone, for me, trying to work with you has been a nightmare, but it's really fun watching you go. So,
Yeah.
Greece, Dubai. You seem to love a sunny country, Shane.
Oh yeah, well, as you mentioned, sunny old England is not so sunny. It's very, very cold. It's very grey and dull. So I've always known since I was a young kid that I was not supposed to be living in a cold climate, and I like the sunshine.
Oh, rock and roll, man! And you found a way. You found a way to do it. You found a way to live in the sunshine
Yep.
12 months a year, which is absolutely amazing. Because most people, as we'll get into today, they just never seem to be able to get to that point where they've got a balance of income and time to be able to travel the world like this. So, from a business point of view, it sounds great, all the traveling, all the
Yep.
time zones. I know that you've had some tough days where I've called you and you've been in like a visa office, or the time zone's
Yep.
been messed up, or you suddenly had to catch a flight. But basically,
Yep.
you've managed to pretty much run a business, and grow a business very well, whilst
Yep.
having that what sounds like a hectic schedule. What does a day look like for you, working on your coaching business in Thailand?
Yeah. So, well, last year it was just me. So worked out a system of how I could just work 25 hours a week. I could get my average like 10k months, and yeah, just like have that work-life balance. That's something that I teach all of my clients as well. A very specific workflow structure, how to, price one-on-ones, and maybe have a little group program as well. But then I realized that like pretty much I was at a glass ceiling. I didn't want to put in more hours. So that got my mind going, and I started just asking that question: how can I back, but without me needing to put more time in. Because my biggest value is the freedom lifestyle. It's my lifestyle, and I wanted to have a way of making money around the lifestyle, as opposed to most people having a lifestyle around the way they make their money. So the beginning, I started to kind of continue my own personal development, started learning some new, like a leveraged way of making money, so leverage income. So that was basically team. Obviously led me to having conversations with you, and obviously doing some work with you. Just helping, get more without having to give more. So a typical day looks. Typically, I just like respond to clients and team in the morning. I've got like a team of 5 people directly. Indirectly, there's another 3 people that I basically contract in to do some stuff. Wake up, respond to team, clients, then I go to the gym, come back, basically have a 2-hour work block, chill out for a little bit. Then I do some self-study, then have some lunch. Client and teamwork normally starts around 3:30 for me now, because obviously the time difference, a lot of my like team clients are still in the UK, so I get to be like relatively productive in the first part of the day, just work on me, do the things that I want to do for myself, just chill out a little bit. Work starts 6 p.m, work finishes, and then if you watch my stories, you know typically I go out and I just
Yeah, Shane loves a steak dinner. Absolutely. Yeah, that's great, man. So you just blocking up those times. You're
Yeah.
You're in a hotel or some Airbnb that you rent out, and then
Yeah.
you grab yourself a few blocks in the day that work on your time zones. Your clients stay in the same place. You move around,
Yep.
and that's just
Yep.
one of the small little burdens of traveling, right? But you're accepting that as part of the
Yeah,
business.
so it doesn't all like, obviously there's no upside without a downside. Challenges and support with it. It's definitely not all sunshine and rainbows, that's for sure. There is a lot of sunshine, so I'll take it.
Yeah. Figuratively and literally.
Yeah,
I mean,
literally.
there's there's no perfect way to run it, and everything has a little bit of sacrifice. And for you, if that
Yep.
sacrifice is dealing with the admin side of a bit more traveling, then
Yep.
really that's the life that you've chosen. Like me, I choose to work from home rather than from an office, which the sunshine of it is that I've got my fridge there, my kitchen there, and my
Yep.
family there. But the downside
Yep.
of that is that if my kids are having a meltdown and they're right outside the window, it's super hard to concentrate. Or I could have my
Yeah.
wife come in and just be like, "Oh, can you help me with this quickly?" And it's, "Oh, not really, but I'm going to have to now, aren't I?" So that's there's no perfect way of doing it, but we're both designing our lifestyle, and that's something that it do, I think people get sold the lifestyle design when they first
Yep.
start a coaching business, but most people never actually achieve it. So I want to talk with you because I know you work now mostly with coaches
Yep.
later on in their business where they're ready to scale and leverage, but you did for a
Yep.
long time work with people at the beginning, at the sharp end of the business where,
Yep.
and that's the part of a coaching business that really seems to cause the most stress in the industry, that startup, the first year where people are doing their best to help people with an area they're passionate in, trying to create a business out of it. But for the overwhelming majority of them, they just get nowhere. Now,
Yep.
you did 6 figures in the bank in your first 12 months as a coach,
Yep.
which is great, and that's a story that most people think they can do, but most don't. So, 2 questions. One is, why do you think most coaches struggle to really get the ball rolling, and what did you do differently that helped you to succeed so quickly?
Okay, cool. So the first one is something I always say, like the coaches is not filled with entrepreneurs. Most people are really led by their desire to serve and help other people, and that's exactly what you should be led by. But it's a coaching business, and like they refuse to really learn the entrepreneurial side of things, and they just think by telling people they're a coach and not really understanding how to create like an in-demand offer or how to actually do marketing effectively, sell, and they avoid these elements of the business. because they say, no, I don't want to be salesy and all of that stuff. I was like, well, cool. Like, don't sell, make any money, keep working a job, keep having this thing on the side, and it's just a hobby, and you're going to burn out and become overwhelmed. So like, there are some necessary skills that you have to learn, and it just so happened that that's what I was learning prior to me becoming a coach, because I was interested in. I've always been entrepreneurial. Like, it was just somebody took me through a process, and it's called like a purpose process, and then throughout that process, like, I love learning stuff. I like sharing it with other people. I wanted to be my own boss. I wanted to be able to travel and see the world. Coaching just revealed itself during that process to me. But then there was also some other things. It was like, when you go into like businesses or like things like that, like, what is the things that grab your attention? This is part of like the process. And my thing was like, everywhere I thinking about how this person was making money. So like, even if I went into a restaurant and there was like hardly anybody eating there, and there was a bunch of waiters just stood, and then like, obviously the kitchen staff, and I'd just sit there and think to myself, like, how is this person making money? Like, how are they covering their overheads? Like, it can't be a profitable business. Well, so many people stood there not doing anything. So then this person was like, you're very entrepreneurial if you're going into places and that's what you're thinking. So I build offers, how to market, how to sell, and then I went and done a coaching certification. So I kind of, it wasn't like a deliberate thing. It just so happened that the stuff I learned once I was actually in a coaching certification program to the people there, and I was telling them about the stuff that I had and what I was going to launch. People are saying like, Shane, you're different. Like, you're not the same as the rest of us. I'm like, you're way advanced in what you're talking about. And they had a business launch program, this certification program, and there were people that were doing that, and they had seen the course that I was about to launch, and they was like, I think I would get more value out of doing that than this. And that particular company had been like by like Yahoo Finance. So that just installed a lot of belief that whatever I had was going to be in demand, and kind of took that kind of confidence with me. Hired obviously a coach like someone that Zach, for the first 3 or 4 months, like after I launched, and it was I had a relatively successful launch, done like 12 English in my first 7 weeks or something like that, which was like crazy to me, because that would have taken me 4 or 5 months to make that money. And then 4.5 months after launching, I quit. 6 weeks after that, I was on the flight to, right in the middle of the pandemic. So when everyone was stuck at home, I was out, and I had the opportunity to enjoy Thailand when there wasn't any tourists here, which, if you've been to Thailand, you know that is that is a very nice thing to have been able to experience. But yeah, it was really me. What helped me was that I was entrepreneurial, and I learned those skills, and I knew they were a necessity. Very long way, and that's still something that I teach. So yes, it's about knowing that your biggest desire is to serve people, to have an impact, and people move forward and achieve the goals that they got for themselves. But it's also understanding that you've got a coaching business, and you can't just want to sit there and coach people. So I typically say you got about 75-25. So 75% is the business, 25% is the delivery and the fulfillment and like coaching clients. And if you do the 75%, you don't get to do the 25%. That like the coaching is the reward of understanding the business and actually implement. So if you are starting out, do not negate from your, or like, give up on your desire to really serve people, but in itself, that's just not enough. Like, there's, you have to learn how to market yourself. You need to know how to build an offer that people actually want, so it's actually in demand. And you need to, regardless if you want to or not, you got to learn sales.
Yeah. Fact of the matter, 75-25 is a very interesting one, because I think you're completely right that in the coaching space, we're sold into this dream of, you just run some group programs, you make an online course, you just sell it overnight. You're on your laptop in a pool for some reason, like standing in an Instagram photo.
Just to be very clear to everyone, that's a complete fantasy. Like, if you've ever sat on a beach or sat at a pool, like, do not believe the pictures where somebody's with a MacBook down by the swimming pool or on the beach, because trust me, within about 5 minutes, the computer's so hot you have to get out of the sun because it's a complete fantasy, and that's just the highlight reel. The reality is you're up in the room, or you're sat in a co-working space, or you're sat in a cafe somewhere and it's working. But yes, we do leverage the lifestyle around that for social media, but just understand that that's gets done, and don't buy into the fantasy.
If it is how anyone does their work, I don't understand
It's not.
how
It's
they
not.
manage it. You can't see the screen. You know,
No.
your hands get wet. It's like people who are like on their like my wife sits in the bath on her phone. I'm like, how do you do this? Your phone's gonna get wet. But
Yeah.
yeah, man. I think for me, whenever I see people posting these on social media, like another day at the office, it's like just finish
Yeah.
your work more productively in your actual office and then go out with more time. Makes way more sense to me. Like what you're doing, you're saying, you're blocking out solid chunks of time, which
Yeah.
then you sit in your, apartment that you've rented with the curtains closed like you're doing now, and then after that you can
Yeah.
go and ride your moped around Chiang Mai and buy some pad thai. You know,
Yeah.
it's fun. I think that's yeah, man. You're coming into the coaching business, the coaching space, kind of, I think about 3 years after I got into it, and you must just see an influx of just people selling the concept of start a coaching business because then you can be hanging out on these planes in these cars and these hotels and that sort of thing, and then they don't focus on the business, the boring business parts of it, which is basically
Yeah.
that's what you're doing so well is you're matter of fact about the 75% of a coaching business that is actually business and not
Yeah.
coaching. So let's
Yeah.
talk about that one at the very beginning, because I want to talk about your growth agency next. But at the very
Yeah.
beginning, learning to sell is one thing, and there's different styles of selling. I know my style of selling isn't very. I'm not a closer. I'm more of a kind of sit
Yeah.
back. Here's a proposal. What do you think? Kind of vibe. I kind of sell how I buy.
Yep.
But I mean, you're on your first sales situation with a potential client. Maybe you've done some sales. Maybe you've done some work for them for free. Maybe you've gotten them in with a free coaching session. How
Yep.
does someone have that conversation with their first few prospects about moving into a paid capacity?
Yeah. So it was just basically the way you offer a free coaching call, and then on that you do a bit of free coaching, and then there's a transition presentation. The first time, the first 10 calls I took, I was very, very nervous. It was like using like, it's not like a script, but like a framework to guide you. And I remember like I was too nervous. I was like, I'm not do like a video call. So I just literally had like my laptop in front of me. Audio called them off of Facebook Messenger. I had to like stand up. So I was at like a standing desk, and I stood up. And I was very like animated with my arms to try and like give me some false confidence. And yeah, out of the 10 calls I took, one person bought, and it was a 6,000. It was a yeah. I thought I'd close six. It's quite a funny story, but 6 people said yes. I remember thinking I've just made 36 grand in my first like 2 weeks of the business, and then I messaged my coach deposits, and I was like, nah. He said, you're about to learn the most expensive lesson of your coaching career. And I was like, what do you mean? He said, just wait. And actually said yes, and actually moved forward. The rest of them gave me excuses and done a runner.
Yeah.
So yeah, just because people say yes does not mean that yes. Until there's money in your bank, do not until they paid that invoice, just do not bank on that one. You'll know
Dude.
that. But really it's just a case of, if you can give free value, if you can basically help somebody to understand their situation, and like even like what you said, like a lot of the selling happens like prior to the sales call, like because it's based on the relationship, it's based on the trust that it's based on them, believing that you are somebody that can solve a problem for them. So a lot of the selling does actually happen through your content, through your having with them privately in Messenger. So really, like once you get to the call, like the way that I've always viewed it, if somebody's jumping on a call with me, have an interest in working with me, and whether consciously or unconsciously, because you do not accept calls. I don't barely jump on a call with anybody unless I've got an intrigue, because I just value my time. So I wouldn't fuck around and just take a call with anyone. So if they're on a call with you, there's a reason for that, and take that kind of confidence into the call, thinking, well, they must have some interest in me, as why they accepted a call with me.
Yeah.
That ends there. Help them to understand their situation, help them become problem aware of why they've solved this thing, tell them what to do, and then when they need to know how to do it, well, that's where the conversion happens. But like from a selling perspective, been helping somebody understand. So what most people are aware of is like their symptom, okay, but they're not understanding like what's the root cause, because if they're not solving the problem, they don't understand how to. So if you can talk about their symptoms and then actually help them understand what the root cause of that is, and be able to clearly articulate to them and present to them that you have the solutions to that, and you can show them how that looks like, and then start being a bit suggestive and just be confident, because at the end of the day, people do buy from confidence. And if you don't really demonstrate too much certainty to them that you could solve this problem, then they're going to pick up on that energy from somebody else. So you've got to go in, you've got to be fully bought in on yourself, you've got to back yourself, you've got to be confident that you can get them results. Even if you're just starting out, and this is why you've got to have an offer, you've got to have a pro that actually you can follow and that gets people results. And that's where a lot of people don't. They kind of think, oh, well, I'm just gonna. A lot of coaching companies, but don't go in with any pre-planned agenda to a session, or you just got to let it flow. And it's just, well, that doesn't sound too productive to me. If you've got a proven process in place and there's some each week block from the previous week, and it just builds up and builds up, even if they don't get the very their biggest desire off the back of it, but they can that they've made, they will feel like they've accomplished something. Do you know what I mean? So you have to have things in place that you're taking people through, so that they feel that progression that they're making towards that desired outcome. And then it's just making sure that obviously people are being held accountable. 12-week program, you're speaking to somebody for 1 hour at a time. There's 167 hours of the week where they're not around you, and they're not in that time to keep them accountable and to keep them on task. And this is where a lot of people fall down, and why a lot of people don't have good results for people, because they just literally, they're not invested enough in the result. And that's is your biggest form of marketing. So what's one of the reasons why I've done well is because I've got quite a few testimonials that the very fit, I'm not full of shit, and I can do the thing that I'm actually telling you I can do for you. And if you don't believe me, here's a whole bunch of other people I've done it for.
Yeah, I think your marketing's great, because it's basically walking the it's three things I see in your content. One is testimonials, and usually it's like a screenshot, which you can't really.
Yep.
I mean, you could fake a screenshot, but you'd have to be a real psychopath to fake a screenshot.
Yep.
Two is you just walking the walk, enjoying. And three is actually you make these great sort of real style Facebook videos where you just
Yep.
give 3 tips to make more sales, that kind of thing. And it's solid values. Everything you're doing is positioning you as an expert, which at the beginning, people aren't really experts, but you gotta start somewhere. I bet your first videos when you first came out of construction weren't great, right?
Because I was having a conversation with my girlfriend the other day, and she's just about to start things on social media, and she's where a lot of people are. She wants it to be perfect. I said, listen, when you start, it's going to be shit, and just it, and know that through repetition of it, you will just get better. So don't be looking at the person that you're looking with 1 million followers who's doing amazing, and it's insane production and quality and everything like that. That's not where you're at. So just don't hold yourself to that standard. And then I actually pulled up the first video of her, and I couldn't even look at the camera. I was looking down. I was so quiet and timid.
Your first video. Your
Yeah.
first video, yeah. Oh goodness me.
Yeah. So I've got it saved on my phone. I had to take it. I did have it on social media at one point, but it's taken down now because I said that presentation of me. Like even though it shows like how much I've grown, but I physically couldn't watch it. I was just that's so bad.
So
Um,
rough, mate.
it was like a 10-minute video, and it took me about 4 hours to get it done.
Yeah.
Like it was bad.
Goodness
Yeah.
me. Have you seen Zach Dixon? He shared his first video recently, his first Facebook Live.
Yeah. So it always annoys me because so he was my first coach. He showed it to me, and I just said, "You've never been bad on camera. Like your starting point is where most people are trying to aspire to get to.
Yeah.
12 months.
Yeah.
He's just one of those guys who just the camera comes on and he comes alive, and he's just always been able to. Uh, Robbins,
Well, we've all got
he's
different
that
skills,
high
right? We've
energy.
got different skill sets we've all got. One th- one thing I would say for the people starting out who are nervous to make those videos is like there's so much content out there. Probably no one's going to see it anyway. To be honest, like if you're posting we both work in marketing. I help you with your ads. We have to like
Yep.
spend money to get our content in front of the people we want to see it sometimes. And so there's like, I don't know how many thousands of posts go on Instagram and Facebook every minute, but there must be a lot. And even now I post things of my business page with almost 10,000 followers on there, and you get like fuck all engagement on some of them because
Yep.
people are just busy. So, I mean, you're basically making your first few videos for yourself, and they're going to just, people will scroll past it, and no one cares about your life as much as you do. So I think that's a blessing these days. You can practice a
Yep.
lot live on camera with the knowledge that maybe one person might smirk or cringe, but then they'll just get on with their day because they got other shit to worry about. So yeah, just progression over perfection. That's a good message, man.
I think the other thing, when you just do your content, whether it's written or video, just you're speaking to one person. Just like that's how you write it. That's how you speak it. And if you're only speaking to one person, like because there's only one person at a time listening to it, so like that way. So if you then don't think, right, there's fucking 5,000 people that are going to be watching this, and that makes that makes you shit yourself. It's just, listen, like if there's somebody stood in front of me now, what would I tell them? And then
Yeah,
that's
makes sense.
literally it. And then also like with the short form videos, just speak it, and then all the stuff that you don't like, you just cut out afterwards anyway. Like, do you know what I mean? So you just chop it up, you cut it up, and then you just put out what you're happy with. Main thing is just speak your truth. Don't hold yourself back. Know that 50% of people are going to like you, 50% of people are not. Universal law of balance. So you're going to attract some people, you're going to repel the rest of them, and that's exactly what you want. If you don't like what I'm saying, cool, piss off, go consume other content from somebody else. And if you love me, if you like me, whatever, cool, come in, let's have a chat. And that's it. So don't live that everybody's going to like you. For every one person that likes you, somebody's going to dislike you. Just accept that. That is the universal law of balance, and that's exactly how you want it. And just give yourself permission to speak your truth and just be yourself, and just don't put a man or a persona, because there's no longevity in that. And at some point, just be you. That's what you can do better. So just be yourself. Quirkiness, like whatever your unique characteristics and traits are, don't shy away from it. Not everybody likes my mannerisms and how I speak and the language that I use. Cool. I'm not going to be your guy then. Like, you need to go, because you're not going to like me. But that's it, and
Well,
I'm fine with that.
yeah. Well, it wouldn't work. Like you said,
No.
if you were pretending to be someone else, then there's no longevity in that. People will sniff it out
Yeah.
at some point, or you
Yeah.
dig yourself into this hole where you're lying, and that becomes your brand, like the freaking Liver King, saying that he was like not on
Exactly.
steroids, but then he was, and he knew the whole time. Um,
15 grand worth of steroids a month,
so many
saying that he's
steroids.
clean.
That's a perfect example of someone not being themselves, right?
Yeah.
And it's because in the coaching space, like your brand is you. Your brand is your personality for the most part. For that first, until you have a team and an agency or whatever, you are the brand. You are the product, and so people will sniff that out pretty darn quickly. And I feel like the the kind of the pandemic, the lockdowns, the work from home stuff actually helped that a little bit because people are now
Yeah.
just a lot more accepting of the fact that like, okay, oh, that's what Alex's office looks like. You can sometimes hear his kids like right
Yeah.
now,
No.
and
On
that's
cue.
just like if you can't, not that cute, man. But if you can't accept these people for who they are, like, I have this feeling like if I can't, just be myself on a sales call,
Yep.
then why am I doing it? I've
Which is-
got to second guess myself sometimes. I'll have a certain prospect and I'll put on a nicer shirt and I'm like, what am I doing? This is not
Yeah.
the shirt I would have been wearing. So, okay, sweet. Let's talk about
So
the
just
next
very
item.
quickly
Go
on that,
ahead.
just very quick. We are living in a personal brand economy. Like, so if you look at it now, uh, Tony Robbins has got like 100 companies. Give me 10, give me two, but you can name Tony Robbins. Do you know what I mean? Then you got like AV,
Yeah.
like you look at all of the big fashion brands, like they can't do shit by themselves anymore. So what do? They get celebrities in to endorse products. So they get like a LeBron James or they get like a Kim Kardashian or they get like somebody in to endorse their products because then they're tapping into it and people will make the association between the celebrity and the brand. Okay, so building a personal brand is the best thing you can do because you're gonna fucking live with you for the rest of your life. Like, so personal brand, you can be like 60, 65 years old, and as long as you've got that brand, you release a product or a service or whatever it may be, there are going to be people there that will buy it from you because of the brand that you've built. So yes, I've got two companies, but it's still Shane Harper. Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And that's still what we're going to drive people towards because that's what people are going to resonate with most. So building your personal brand, best things that you can possibly do. So yeah, I just wanted to chuck that in because it just seemed relevant.
It's totally relevant, and it's the perfect segue into kind of that next stage. Because in your limitless growth agency,
Yep.
well, just tell us what that agency does quickly for some context, and then I'll ask the question.
Yeah. So so what we said earlier on, it's not been all sunshine and rainbows. There's been a lot of learning experiences as I was scaling my business, purely and simply because I partnered with agencies that were substandard. Not just in the service, but obviously in the delivery of the service, like, with the people that they were given. So really the reason about was because we were using people to, recruit and obviously like find, staff, for my delivering absolute clowns all the time, just like people that just could not do the job. And it was tarnishing my name, like, because like I was getting like the negativity from the clients, like this person's not performing and not doing this. And then I was like, do you know what? I just need to fucking do this for myself, like, because what my clients need, like, and this is one of the things, like, there's a lot of agency owners out there, but they haven't got a fucking clue what it actually takes to do the fulfillment and actually run the business. So anybody can like create an agency and then go and find people and then market that and then place people. The reason that I know I can do it better is because I actually got the business. So once you're in the business and these things need to be done, I know how that needs to be done. So now I was like, well, I'm just going to create an agency. I'm going to basically have a more airtight recruitment kind of process. So we got like a 3-tier system for that. And then also it's like once they're in and actually doing the job, which is actually when it actually they can actually fulfill on the responsibilities they have to the business. So for us, it was filling a void for 6 months, 7 months or whatever, well, maybe even longer, like 8 months or something. I just was let down by other people constantly, having difficult conversations with them, saying like, well, we've done what we've been paid for. I was like, you fucking haven't. Like, doing the job they've been hired for, how is that you fulfilling? I was like, well, we've done the recruitment and we've placed them. I said, yeah, but so I use the analogy, do this before, like, let's just say you've got a restaurant and somebody goes to the restaurant and the food comes out and it took a long time to come, and then when it come, it was bad, it was like cold or it was overcooked or something, it just wasn't good. And then you say to the staff, like, this is cold, like it's not been cooked, or like, do you know what I mean, or it's like it's overdone or whatever it is. And they was just like, okay, well, we've done what we've been paid for, cook you the food and bring it. I was like, well, no, like you've got to enjoy what you've been served. Do you know what I mean? It's actually got to be the thing that you've been paying for. Of agency owners that basically are bringing out cold or overcooked food, and it's basically not what you're actually paying for. I want to make sure you're having a fine dining experience. You come in, you get what you paid for, and you walk away happy. And that's why Limitless Growth Agency come about.
There you go. 100%. That's what a lovely analogy, by the way. I love that. Fine dining experience every time. So you're helping coaches to, place appointment setters, people to handle their influx of messages, run ads for
Yep.
them, do some sales for them, that sort of thing.
Basically, from the team aspect, the first initial kind of things are people that can help you with leads. So it's typically an appointment setter, but we've got social media managers we place as well, or copywriters. Sales closers are something that comes in once the call volume is up. And then obviously, if they want to run low cost messenger ads, then that's something that we can give them as well once they come into our high mastermind.
Yeah, so just taking care of basically a lot of the stuff that isn't delivery, taking care of the 75%.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, like it's called like Limitless CEO, like the program. So like the mastermind's Limitless CEO, and that's like literally where you take that full step CEO position. So you work on the business, you create, you get to work on your creativity and improve the level of your service. Really just get to focus on your zones of genius, which is client fulfillment, and then just know that your leads, your sales, admin, infrastructure, CRMs, SOPs, all of that stuff's been built out. So we've got like a business in a box. With the agency, it's basically giving you those first kind of that first bit of support that you need. So whether it's like initially just removing you from, you've got somebody doing outreach, taking care of your inbound and outbound leads, and then obviously setting appointments for you. Social media manager, like somebody that can do that for you, and just completely take that off your hands. So basically, the agency is the initial steps of back, so that you can actually start to, like I said, work on the business, not in the business. There's only so far you can take it by yourself, and people that are at a certain level, they know that. But there are a lot of people that have obviously, like I had, that partnered with agencies that didn't do that said they were going to do, and it becomes frustrating. And then you're like, well, it obviously doesn't work, and then they tar everyone with the same brush. But the right team and the right system doesn't make it any easier. Like that you've got to solve once you're scaling. More money doesn't mean less problems, I promise you that much. But you won't need to invest any. Do the 25 hours a week, 30 hours a week maximum, sometimes less. But I've fought 4 to 7 times more I was previously.
There we go.
So
Boom, boom.
Is it worth it? Yes.
He's done it. He's done it. Well, that's great. Okay, so I think the thing a lot of people would be wondering then is that you've mentioned that personal brand. You've got a couple of different companies. Yep. Shane Harper, you're still the face of these brands. I'm trying to kind of remove myself from the face of my brand a little bit, because I'm starting to see this pattern where if I'm part of the sales process, then people are going to assume they're going to be working with me every step of the way, which is not really the case. I've got strategists, I've got copywriters now. Coaching, when we start out, our business is our own time. That's the product. It's you talking to me. I do the sales, I do the marketing, I do the delivery every week. When you start to leverage it, what can that look like for a coach who's worried that when they remove themselves from these parts of their business, then it's no longer the same business? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So that's just something that you've just got to understand. Like, you can't, people are buying your solutions, they're not buying your time. Okay. And I fell victim to that for a long time. And I remember like sending like some voice messages to like really frustrated, because I learned that lesson before I even started coaching. I had like this entire thing on leveraged income. And I completely like kind of forgot about it because when you go into the coaching space, start with one-on-ones, do a bit of group, and you just find yourself like selling hours of your time for money. So then like I've got a program now, like, and I'm involved in nothing modules. I am the face of the business. People buy into that, but I'm not involved in anything. Like I send of support into the community, but I'm completely removed from that entire program now. Okay, and then obviously you want to basically have curriculum. So that's one of the things you've got to do is just have, if you're saying something over and over and over again to different, I can record it, have it, and then just say it once and not have to constantly say it again. So that's one of the things is like anything that is repetition for you, document it, like, or record it, or whatever it may be, and then just let people know. And anytime that question comes up, they just get that training. Okay, so that's making sure that you're not repeating yourself consistently. Now, if you can automate, 90 education or your trainings or whatever it may be, and then it's just that 10% is really just about how to implement it or fixing problems or troubleshooting or whatever it may be. That's leveraged income, okay, because you want to be able to sell it over and over and over again and not be capped out. So at this point, like the goals we've got for the business is to take ourselves to $350,000 a month. We know into each of the different programs. We know how many leads. We've been able to reverse engineer that all the way back to how many leads on a weekly basis, and that's really it. And then it's just knowing that you've got the infrastructure set. You're starting. The initial thing is to go from like 1-to-1, and then just pay attention what you're repeating all the time. Start recording some stuff as you're building stuff out, or like maybe a client asks you a question, hop onto Loom, record that. Don't say the client's name, but basically, hey, just going to put this quick training together for you, explaining how to do XYZ. That then becomes a bit of, the next time that question gets asked, what do you do? Watch this. Here's the link. Okay, or you can start building out like a dashboard where it's all housed there. That's really just what you got to do is like start working smart. Like stop thinking that you've got to hustle and grind and your time for money, because you don't. And once you can make that shift, you can actually provide way more value by having, like, I've got, like, in that program I'm nothing to do with at this stage, like there's 60 modules there. Like I couldn't give you that in a 12-week one-on-one coaching. So I'm actually giving you more information to serve you at a higher level. You actually get to charge a cheaper price to go into this program because I'm actually delivering. Do you know what I mean? So this is how you start to go into the areas of where you can actually start selling it to like bigger volumes of people without really do anything. And it's not passive. Like don't fall for the bullshit around passive income. It's less active, but there are still things to be done. So that's one of the things. If you are falling for passive income, stop, because there's no such thing. Go and actually study what. Realize that coaching, consulting, run an agency is not passive at all. It's rules of activeness in income. And the best thing you can do is learn leveraged income. So how can you maximize your profitability, and how can you duplicate again so that you've got that to give people, so you can sell it to as many people as you can, have as much impact as you humanly can, because that's really it. Like the money you're going to make is just a direct reflection of the impact you're having. So if you haven't got much money at the moment, probably not having that much of an impact. Prioritize increasing the impact you have, and by default you'll make the money that you want to make.
There you go. That's a good mic drop moment, that one. Love that. Love that. No, it's really, really good, man. And I love the distinction between passive income and leveraged income.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, I don't think there's really much passive income going on out there in the world. Like even people
No.
like Warren Buffett, who, oh, he made like 100, 500 million from Coca-Cola shares
Good
last
killer.
year. It's like he did a lot of work to get to that point. Like he's
Yeah.
not just sitting on a beach now. There's a lot of work going on in the back end, but just systemizing that delivery. I love the
Yep.
concept of, I've written down FAQ video trainings on my little post-it note here, because I know
Yeah.
you said if you're saying the same thing over and over in your calls, then just record it on a video. And I
Yeah.
get the same questions and I have the same answers for every
Yeah.
first or second strategy call I do with people. So
Cool.
that's really, really exciting stuff, man. So we're moving into the end of the year. Well, very, very close to the end of the year. You've had a great couple of years, which is very, very exciting to see. There's a bunch of people out there who probably have not had a great year in business. They've not hit the goals they had for 2022, because when you have an income goal for the month, you know the numbers, you reverse engineer it like you just said. Give me a few of your biggest action steps for the people listening who are beginner coaches who haven't hit the numbers they wanted to in 2022 and want to have a big year next year.
Yeah. So the main thing is like you have to make that shift. So there's a lag time between like the identity. Like, so even the beginning of this year, I was a 6-figure coach last year. Beginning of this year, not a 6-figure coach. Now I took a couple months off, essentially, like in April, to study because there was some things that I needed to learn. Didn't really make that much money, like, to be honest. It was just a few people going in just to keep the cat for me to work with me on a one-on-one. Launched the new, like, a beta group for, you know, helping people scale in the end of May, and then it was July when I'd done my first 30k cash month. Do you know what I mean? But there was a lag time between the money that I received to take me towards the multi 6 figures and the decision that I made. So the first thing you got to do is make that shift within yourself, like the market, however you present yourself to it. So you cannot keep the same identity. You cannot keep acting. So like I was walking, telling people I was going to quit my job, make 10k per month and live in Bali. Like, and I was earning £15 an hour, like £500 a week at a fucking building site, and people were like thinking I bought into some internet scam. Like they just could not comprehend it. But I had that identity that is what I was going to do, and there were other people doing it, and I didn't see anything in them. I didn't see in myself. So if they can do it, then why can't I? And I've done 7.5k in my first 3 weeks. Do you know what I mean? Because that's the identity that I had. So going back to like just having that certainty about yourself. And it's about knowing what actually goes into getting it. So something, and it's not the sexy part of the business, but it's knowing your numbers. Do you know what I mean? And business is just repetition of the basics happening. Like, and a lot of people do fuck themselves over by trying to overcomplicate things and think that, like, even when they like trying to scale, like, all scaling is just doing the same thing that you were doing to get you to the 10k months, but just doing a bigger volume. Like, there's some identity work that needs to go in there. There's some additional skills you need to have, improved offers and like that, but it's still just increasing the numbers that you're already doing, and that's where the leverage system comes in. That's where the team comes in. So really, like, if you're looking to start out, one, do the work on you and step into the identity. If you want to make 10k per month, if you want to make 20k per month, fucking show up as that version of yourself, as the current version of yourself, because that is literally why you will have your current reality. Okay, so your current reality is a mirror reflection of who you are, and if you're not, do the work. Okay, and that just means stepping into the identity. So you've got the beliefs, like, you know, you've got the language, the beliefs, the emotions, the physical presence, like, everything about it. You just embody the version of you, and this isn't fake it till you make it. This is literally, like, what people don't understand. You know, people have like a goal, and it's like, when I achieve the goal, that's when I'll be happy, or that's when I feel accomplished. And it's not that. You have to embody, accomplish the thing. Okay, so you have to like visualize, like, who would I be? Like, if I was making 10k per month, and, you know, what would I be doing? What would my days look like? How would I be feeling within myself? What beliefs would I have? What would be like what would my internal dialogue be like? What would my physical presence be like? What would, like, the energy that I carry within myself? And see yourself, and then when you open your eyes after the visualization, fucking show up as that person. And then the world has to accept you like that. And don't bullshit and walk around telling people you have achieved the goal, but you embody the version of will. And then one day you'll open your eyes and you'll just see that, fuck, I'm there. I've got it. Okay, so that's the first thing. And then it's just knowing your numbers. Okay, knowing that you've got to have a good offer that people actually want. Okay, don't just fucking make up what you think people want. Actually go out and find out from the need from you, so you can give people what they need and what they want. Okay, and also have a way that you can massively increase the value of what you're selling, so that when you tell them the price point, they can see, okay, well, that makes sense. I feel like I'm getting a good deal here. But if you just very vague shit saying what you're going to do for them, and then you hit them with a $2,500 price point, see they can't comprehend why it's that much, then it's just there's not enough perceived value. So like one of the things you got to do is increase the perceived value of your offers and present it to people. They feel like they're getting a good deal if they buy it then and there. Then it's just knowing the numbers. Okay, we take people through a process of like engineering, so we actually get our clients to do price up their dream lifestyle. So no expense spared, 3 to 5 years into the future. So what's the car, what's the house, the trips, the travels, like if you've got team, how much are you paying for that? Like if you've got like house staff and like maids and people doing, I don't know, like whatever it is, what's your dream life? And then they go and do it. And we basically, there's a price to the house, to the trips, to the travels, to everything. This is just so everybody knows, this is literally the process I'd done at the beginning of this year. And I realized, okay, cool. I don't need 20 grand a month. I need 50 grand a month. And it's obviously grown since then because my goals have grown. But this initial process was a shift. And I was like, okay, cool. I can't fucking do that by myself. So if I need a team, what team would I need? But anyway, you get that dream lifestyle. And this is just the dream life. So let's just say, for example, it was £150,000 a year just to pay for your dream life. Then what you're going to do is factor in your tax. And then what you're going to do is factor in if you want to save any money. So let's an additional 35% you need there. Our tool then gives you that number. So now you've got a very specific number of what you need to make. And then we say, cool, what's the price of your program? Okay, and then you'll get like how many sales you will need to make a month. Cool, what's your conversion? Okay, cool, how many sales calls do you need to book? What's your opt-in rates off of your lead magnets? Cool, bang, and we take it all the way back to you need 300, for example. And then once you've got that, you have your roadmap. So go and find 300 leads a month, knowing that the rest of your number take effect. And then that really takes the guesswork out of it. If you don't know the numbers, typical conversion rate for like on a sales call, just 25%. Okay, about 10% of people will opt into a lead magnet. So if you just keep basic numbers in mind, and you can just run your numbers and then give yourself the roadmap. And then you really just okay, cool. How do I go and, in this example, 300 leads a month? Okay, so I've got to find 75 people a week. Can you find 75 people a week on social media platforms where there's literally a week on there? If you say no, you maybe lack the entrepreneurial mindset we spoke about at the beginning.
Wow, man, that's really, really useful. Reverse engineering the numbers all the way from the dream lifestyle. I do it from just an arbitrary income goal, but you take it all the way out to 5 years in the future, taxes, all the stuff people don't even think about. Really, really cool, man. I love that. It's so you must have done some big numbers to get to 350,000 a month, eh? You must have a lot of maids in your house and your
No, so that's just where the business has gone to. Now we've got, because when I first was the average price of the program was like 3,500, and obviously now with the mastermind it's 10 times that price. It's a 12-month it's a 12-month mastermind, so our numbers are different. We know exactly how many, like full transparency, we want our mastermind, we want 30 people a month coming into our agency, and on our lower ticket one we want to build a community of 500 people. We do that, but we know that number, we reverse engineer it all the way back, and it quite literally is 300 leads for the month for the agency, 20% upsells into the mastermind, and then obviously the work rate we're doing to get people lower ticket.
There you go. There you go. It's that simple, ladies and gentlemen.
The planning of it is the consistency of the implementation is where the challenge comes in, but that's why having a system and a team around you helps you because not every single person can be on point at every moment of every day. So it's having, like, you don't want to ever, like, if you 100% relies on you, then what happens when you get sick? You know, and I know this beginning of the year, you know, this, I had a bike accident. It was like, Alex, the next, I don't know how many weeks I've busted my face up. And then it was
Yeah.
like, okay, cool. There was a problem in my business then. But luckily at that point, I was still able to make money, generate leads, people be onboarded whilst I was in recovery. So this is 100% reliant on you. You are one accident or problem away from being fucked, literally financially in ruins. And if that doesn't scare you and make you realize that shit, like this isn't like there's not safety here when it's just me and everything's relying on me. So all lead generation, all sales, all content, you know, admin, everything, you, and you know you're spinning all of those plates. Do you mean there's a glass ceiling. Two, if anything happens to you, it's a tough situation. So the quick start to get your mind around, like, how can I then start buying back some of my time so I can increase my revenue? So if anything happened, the bit moves forward, it's still operational. Like I could literally take like 3 months off and like my business would still generate leads. I would still make sales. I would, yeah, I would still do better than most coaches because I've got the infrastructure in place now.
Yeah.
And if somebody else drops out, I've created the repeat that somebody else can just be plugged into that then. So I'm not heavily reliant on any one person because I've got the SOPs and I've got the infrastructure set now. Cool. If you need to go and you need to go and do something else for yourself, no worries at all. Find somebody else, bring them in. That's why you can for the 350.
That's simple. It is simple though, guys.
Yeah.
It's I mean, simple and easy are different things, but it is a simple business model, the coaching one. There's not
Yeah.
lots and lots of moving parts like having a retail business with suppliers and everything. It's pretty simple. Deliver a good product to anyone in the
Yeah.
world via the internet and find enough people to do that too. Shane Harper, you've absolutely crushed this game. You've taken it from being a solopreneur to having what you just said, a business you could step away from in just a couple of years, basically, even less considering the time you've taken off. Very glad you've healed up from that bike accident, by the way, because you got fucked up. And it's been, no, it's really, really exciting to see your journey, man. And I'm honored to be a part of it. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us today and your insights. I know you've got plenty more in the tank, so we'll share all your social media links in the clips of these videos so people can check you out on Instagram and Facebook.
Perfect.
That's where all your content goes up. Got your Limitless Entrepreneurs Academy is the Facebook group, I believe.
Yep.
Yep, place to be. I'm loving that group. Everything that you're putting out, man, is really exciting, and I'm just expecting a massive year from you in 2023.
Yep. So am I, mate.
There we go. That's the attitude. That's the confidence we like. Thank you for being on the show, mate. Thank you so, so much. And a very Merry Christmas to you, Shane Harper.
Yeah. Likewise. Thank you very much for having me, mate. Your lovely little family.
I will. I'll do my very best too. I'm stepping into that kind of. I'm testing the delegation thing for 2 weeks for the first time by myself, which is very exciting stuff. So everyone who's listening, thank you so much for doing so all year. It's been amazing having you. If you're live or on the recording, I love you to bits for doing that. I'll be back in like 3 weeks' time with some new guests on Coaches to the Moon podcast. Until then, thank you so much for listening. Much love and Merry Christmas.